Welcome to New Possibilities. I speak truth to power without fear. So this is another quick hangout. I saw an article by Cornel West basically attacking Ta-Nehisi Coates, and I wanted to take some time to just share my views about it. I'm going to go through the article. I may read some excerpts from it or summarize some of the things that are being said in the article, and then provide my commentary. So let me share my screen. And you can bear with me 1 second. I'm going to share my screen real quick. Yeah, before I actually do that, I want to ask people, how many people are really familiar with Ta-Nehisi Coates and Cornel West? I think there's like a couple of people tuning in now. So if you're familiar with them, just let me know in the comment section before I get started. And I just want to check to make sure that you can hear me okay. If you can let me know if the audio is okay, I would appreciate it. So I'll give you all a second. I know there's at least a couple of people watching. So if you can let me know if you can hear me okay, I would appreciate it. So just bear with me 1 second. For those of you who aren't familiar with Ta-Nehisi Coates, he's a up-and-coming writer. You know, he's received a lot of acclaim. You know, one book that he wrote was this one, Between the World and Me. A great book. I encourage people to buy it. He's also written powerful essays about Barack Obama, and he has a recent book out about Barack Obama, which kind of sparked this whole conversation. Let me just X this out. Yeah, so he has a book about Barack Obama, which kind of like sparked this whole controversy. It sparked Cornel West's response to that particular book. So I'm going to go through some of the things that Cornel West says in this article right here. Let me pull it up and share it with you all, if you can bear with me a second. Okay, so here's the article. It's on The Guardian, and it's entitled Ta-Nehisi Coates is the neoliberal face of the Black freedom struggle. It's written by Cornel West. And neoliberal is an insult. It's not a compliment. You know, it's something that Cornel West uses as an insult against the competition, frankly. That's what he's using it for, to attack his competition. And I'm just going to summarize some of the points that he makes in this article. I'm not going to read it verbatim, and I probably won't even read excerpts. I'm just going to summarize some of the things that Cornel West says in this article. You know, the first thing he does is he criticizes Coates' recent book entitled We Were 8 Years in Power. It's about Barack Obama's presidency. And this is what he says. He talks about how Coates basically neglects to talk about Wall Street. He doesn't deal with the Israeli occupation of Palestinian lands and people. You know, he talks about how he doesn't deal with U.S. military policies and stuff like that. He doesn't deal with class and, you know, the issues of class dynamics and capitalism. And he basically says that Coates is focused solely on white supremacy, and he doesn't go into depth into the issues of the relationship between white supremacy and capitalism and imperialism. And he went on to say that Coates fetishizes white supremacy. He makes it almighty, magical, and unremovable. You know, that's some of the stuff that Cornel West says in this article. You can bear with me a second. He also talks about how Obama's presidency opened the market. You know, this is something that Coates talks about and Cornel West is critical of. He said that the presidency opened a market for a new wave of Black pundits, intellectuals, writers, and journalists, and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, Cornel West goes on to criticize Coates by saying that his own literary dreams of success were facilitated by a neoliberal president who ruled for 8 years. An example of Black respectability, good Negro government. Let me see if there's some other standout points. And then he also says that Coates' allegiance to Obama has produced an impoverished understanding of Black history. He reveals this when he writes, Ossie Davis famously eulogized Malcolm X as our living Black manhood, our own Black shining prince. And basically Coates said that the only man today to compare those type of comparison would be Barack Obama. And then, you know, Cornel West goes on to say that this is a gross misunderstanding of who Malcolm X was by comparing him to Barack Obama. And to some degree, I understand what Cornel West is saying, but I want to provide my analysis in a few minutes. So, you know, he goes on to criticize Coates for praising Obama while being silent on, you know, the drone attacks that took place under the Obama administration. You know, the assassination of U.S. citizens without trial, you know, the bombs that were dropped on 5 majority Muslim countries, and Palestinians who were killed with U.S.-supported planes under Obama. And again, you know, he goes back to this point about Wall Street greed and U.S. imperial crimes and the Black elite's indifference to poverty. And he goes on. So that's like a summary of what Cornel West had to say about Ta-Nehisi Coates. And I just want to take some time to respond to this. You know, one thing that I found to be curious is the fact that, hold on one second, y'all. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. Just bear with me one second. One thing that I find curious about Cornel West is this, man. You know, as I indicated, you know, the thing that kind of sparked him to write this article was the fact that Coates wrote a book that was praising Barack Obama. And the thing that's so odd about Cornel West is his fixation or his preoccupation with Barack Obama. When Barack Obama was in power, Cornel West was on all the major news networks, constantly bashing Barack Obama, constantly criticizing Barack Obama. And some of his criticisms were legitimate. I mean, some of the points that I raised in that article, you know, that I highlighted from this article about drone attacks, about Wall Street, and et cetera, Palestine, those are very legitimate points to be raised. Those are issues that deserve attention. The issue of poverty and all that kind of stuff, those things deserve our attention. And the president should have been held accountable. And in some respects, he was held accountable, but more should have been done to hold Barack Obama accountable. And I respect the fact that Cornel West was one of those few Black leaders or Black intellectuals who actually had the courage to criticize Obama when he was wrong. But the thing is this, after Obama left office, and now that we have Donald Trump in the White House, it has become apparent to me that Cornel West wasn't just motivated by politics when he spoke out against Barack Obama. And with this recent attack on Ta-Nehisi Coates, it's clear that he's not motivated solely by his genuine concern about the issues. Because if he was motivated truly and solely by the issues, you would think that he would even be more fierce of a critic against Donald Trump than he was against Barack Obama. But this man is nowhere to be found when it comes to criticizing Donald Trump. I mean, he may have done one interview here, one interview there, but I remember when Obama was in the White House, this man was relentless in his attack on Barack Obama. But here he is, under this Trump administration, a right-wing, racist, white supremacist sympathizing administration. And this man, for the most part, is silenced. Instead of talking about Donald Trump and all the wrong that Donald Trump has done, this man would rather spend his time criticizing an up-and-coming writer, a black writer, a black intellectual, who, despite some little minor disagreements here and there, is a progressive, someone that I'm sure Cornel West and Coates agree on many things. But Cornel West is so petty that he would rather focus on that brother, trying to bring down that brother, writing a long essay about that brother. Where's the essay about Donald Trump? Where's the indignation and anger and outrage against Donald Trump? Where is it? It's non-existent. And the fact that it is non-existent speaks volumes. Here you have Donald Trump, a man who is attacking affirmative action, a man who's trying to scale back voting rights, a man who's trying to scale back police reforms, a man who openly supports racial profiling, a man who's giving away tax cuts to the rich at the expense of the poor and working class people in this country, a man who's cutting back on social programs like Section 8 and food stamps, a man who's threatening war against North Korea, a man who has imposed a Muslim travel ban, a man who condoned the white supremacists in Charlottesville by calling these people some good people, by saying that there was bad or wrong on both sides, a man who openly endorses and supports these white supremacists. Instead of focusing on that man, Cornel West would rather spend all his time and attention attacking his brother, attacking a young intellectual who is writing some magnificent works, criticizing his brother as a neoliberal. And I'm going to show you something that Jelani Cobb posted. He's a noted scholar, and he's someone that I went to college with. I'm going to show you some of his tweets responding to Cornel West. But before I do that, I just want to say this. I mean, this exposes that Cornel West is not motivated by politics. He is motivated by his own pettiness. He is motivated by his own ego. He is a jealous-hearted person. All this boils down to is him hating on this young brother because he's receiving more attention and more acclaim than he is right now. That's what it's all about. But he's trying to shroud it into some noble political cause when it's not about that. Where is this man right now with this Donald Trump in the White House? Where are his long essays criticizing Donald Trump? Where are all his interviews attacking Donald Trump? They are non-existent because this man is petty. This man has become a disgrace. He went from being a great intellectual to becoming a petty player hater. Like any black intellectual that has any little bit of shine, here comes Cornel West to hate on them. any prominent black figure in politics, here comes here comes Cornel West to hate on them. I mean, you can criticize Obama for this, you can criticize him for that, but when you compare him to Donald Trump, there is no comparison. When you compare his policies to Donald Trump's policies, there is no comparison. When you look at the good that he did, in fact, do for the black community, you can see that there is no comparison. So why would this guy, Cornel West, spend all of his time and energy going after Barack Obama? And then when this right-wing fascist, Donald Trump, is in the White House, all of a sudden, Cornel West is silent. All of a sudden, he has nothing to say. All of a sudden, he's not doing as many interviews and on as many stations going after the president. This man is jealous-hearted. You know, this man is motivated by his own ego. And it's a damn shame to see him fall like this, to see him go from being a true intellectual to becoming a petty player hater. So, yeah, I just had to express this frustration, you know, because I just find it to be sickening, man. You know, here you have some serious things going on in the world affairs. You have a man in power right now who has the influence to make all kinds of decisions that are adversely affecting black people, poor people. You know, he is openly promoting the interests of this capitalist class that Cornel West criticizes so much. I mean, he's openly supporting this plutocracy, this oligarchy. But yet you don't hear a word from Cornel West, despite him being so hostile to Wall Street and this and that. But yet he's silent when you have a president that openly embraces Wall Street at the expense of working and poor people and black people, but he's silent. That causes me to question his motivation. It causes me to question his sincerity. And it's a shame because Cornel West is somebody that I had great respect. I respected the criticism that he had of the president. But now I'm just seeing him in a whole different light. When I see him having these poor priorities, man. He's going after Ta-Nehisi Coates a priority when he should be making attacking the president a priority. So I want to show some of these comments from Jelani Cobb. Again, you know, that's a brother I know from my college years. It's just great seeing somebody come up. But I'm going to share this screen with you all so that you can see it. But before I do that, I'm going to respond to some of the things that that people are saying in the chat room. Shout out to Elaine Lloyd. You said, what did Coates do to Cornel West? Nothing. He didn't do anything to him. All he did was write a book about Barack Obama, you know, celebrating Barack Obama. And that was something that was so offensive to Cornel West that he felt the need to write an article in The Guardian. I mean, and as Jelani points out, you know, Cornel West has Coates' telephone number. I mean, if he had a problem, he could have just called him up. Okay, so let me read through some more of his comments, and then I'll get on to Jelani Cobb's tweets that raise some serious points. Yeah, the list is long of all the harm that Donald Trump is causing, but you know, Cornel West is silent in the face of all this stuff that Trump is doing to undermine working people, to undermine Muslims, to disrespect women, you know, to violate the African American community, you know, the immigrants. But yet Cornel West is silent, and that silence speaks volumes. It tells you a lot about his sincerity. It tells you a lot about his true motivations. And it's unfortunate, man. It's really unfortunate that it comes down to this. But let me share my screen so that you all can see these tweets from Jelani Cobb, where he's responding to some things that Cornel West says in his article. And I encourage you all to read the article. For the purpose of this video, I didn't really, directly respond to the article, like to each one of the points that he's making. But we could talk about some of the points as we go through Jelani Cobb's tweets. All right, so in response to Cornel West's article, the scholar Jelani Cobb made the following tweets. And I just want to highlight a couple of them. One thing that he pointed out was this whole criticism that Cornel West is lodging towards Coates by calling him neoliberal. He talks about how Coates supports reparations, and how is that neoliberalism? That's an excellent point, because Coates wrote a long article where he talks about the economic system. He talks about Jim Crow. He talks about the need for reparations. He talks about redlining and all those issues. There are no neoliberals who are putting forth a pro-reparations type of position. And that's something that Cornel West doesn't even address. Like, he doesn't address that whole point. Because if Coates was such a neoliberal, he wouldn't be supporting reparations. And Jelani Cobbs also points out how Cornel West supported Bernie Sanders during the campaign. As I did, I supported Bernie Sanders. And he talked about how Cornel West didn't adequately deal with this whole thing of Bernie Sanders being dismissive of the call for reparations. And that's a great point. Here he is attacking this young brother, relatively young. I mean, he's middle-aged now, but attacking his brother simply because he's getting more shine and all that kind of stuff, and trying to make it seem like it's some kind of deep political, philosophical thing. But yet he didn't attack Bernie Sanders for his position on reparations. And again, as I said before, he is not going after Donald Trump, a right-wing fascist, at all. He may mention a couple of comments in passing, but he's not relentless in his attack on Donald Trump as he was towards Obama. He's even more merciful to Donald Trump than he is to the brother Ta-Nehisi Coates. And Jelani Cobb brings up this point about how Tavis Smiley had all these ties to Wells Fargo, and we know about Wells Fargo and the whole mortgage foreclosure crisis and all that kind of stuff, and him being tied to Walmart, while Tavis Smiley had all these ties to corporate America. What's his name completely disregarded it. I mean, Cornel West disregarded it. He didn't criticize it and all that kind of stuff. That was his homie. He was running with him. He didn't have no words of criticism about those corporate ties, but then he's going to go after Coates for not being harsh enough on capitalism. That's a great point that Jelani Cobb raises. And also this is another point, like about how, Jelani Cobb talks about how Cornel West participated in the Million Man March, even though he disagrees with Farrakhan on various issues. And that's one thing that we have to learn to do, man. We have to learn to realize that there are differences of opinion in our community. Now, it's one thing if somebody is an outright traitor in our community, but we understand that there are ideological differences in our community. But we got to understand that everybody is not going to play the same position in our struggle. Everybody is not going to take the exact same position on every single issue. Everybody doesn't have to meet Cornel West's standard of what Black activism looks like. They don't have to check off all the boxes that Cornel West has set up as a standard in order to be truly committed to our struggle. So, I mean, that's something that people need to understand, man. It's like, why are we so relentless in our attack on one another? And then yet we're merciful and we're turning the other cheek to the person that we really should be going after. Again, where's this lack of mercy when it comes to a Donald Trump or these other right-wing extremists in the halls of power? So yeah, and this is the point that I touched on earlier. Jelani Cobb points out how Cornel West has Ta-Nehisi Coates' telephone number, and he knows his father. I mean, so why put out a long article when you could have just called him up and had a conversation, had a debate over the phone or a conversation over the phone? And, it just makes it clear to me, again, that Cornel West is not being really motivated by politics. He's motivated by pettiness. He's motivated by his jealousy. He hates to see this young brother shine. He hates to see somebody else get the limelight. He hates to see other people being celebrated and, admired and all that kind of stuff. He just wants that shine. And because he's jealous, he feels the need to lash out at him. And it's just a disgrace to see somebody like this fall like this, man. And it kind of reminds me of that song that 50 Cent has where he says, "You used to be the man, homie. What the fuck happened to you?" And that's what I'm thinking about with Cornel West, man. What happened to you? You need to get back on track and get back on focus and stop attacking your brothers and sisters, man, when you should be building with your brothers and sisters instead of attacking them based on petty, minor little differences. Again, why not attack Donald Trump the way you attacking your brothers and sisters, man? Shout out to Real Aaron Collins. Shout out to Miss Red. Yeah, so I don't want to keep y'all too long. I just had to share my thoughts about this whole situation between Cornel West and Ta-Nehisi Coates. I encourage y'all to check out the article that Cornel West wrote and tell me what you think about it, man. Do you agree with me? Do you think it's player hating for the most part, or do you think he has a point? Tell me what you think. Please rate, comment, and subscribe. Peace.